let's get straight into it. This little sub is little in size and shallowness, but boy, is it not in terms of the depth of bass that this thing gives out. Is absolutely astonishing. 13-inch cone on the outside, really robust rubber here. This thing, it's almost like a tire, but yet it's flexible at the same time. The actual front cone here, it's robust, almost like a hard resin. In fact, if you tap it, it sounds like a drum. Now, if you look at the back here, you can see that there's no magnet, is what you're used to expecting to see. In fact, there's the magnet there. Now, when you look at it compared to a normal sub, the magnet sits actually on the back side of the voice coil. But with this little bad boy, it actually, the voice coil fits inside the magnet. And I've noticed, because I took it apart because I was curious and I wanted to see how it worked. There's a thin ring all the way around. The voice coil moves in and out of that magnet. It's only about 3 or 4 mil of a groove, but it displaces and moves in the same way that this speaker moves, and the sound it gives is just astonishing. So really robust, really happy with it. The best thing about it is, look at that, look how shallow that sits. You can put it in all sorts of applications, behind the seat. In fact, I've tried it there.
I know I can't play the tunes because
some people install these in the front of the passenger footwell, which is where the existing stock one is. I took a different approach. I've decided to keep that in its place. I'll go into reasons why I did that. So this is what some people do. They put the sub where the original stock sub sits in the passenger footwell. 13-inch squeezes in there just about. You need to make a dedicated box at the back, like this here. By the way, that needs to be 0.8 cubic feet, which is the correct size for the JL 13-inch shallow sub. As I said, I didn't go down this road. I'll give you reasons later on. But I basically have this. I had the stock sub in my passenger footwell, and I've got the custom one I built, which is now sitting in the trunk. So I've actually got 2 subs now in my car. Price-wise, well, you're looking at about $679. What is that? $750 US. Yes, it's pricey. And yes, you've got to buy a box as well, or do what I did and make it. But the results it gives, it's just incredible, this thing, and you keep the space in your car. So let's get into the video and I'll show you what I did.
So lots of people have been struggling to get the cables from an SL boot trunk into the cabin, and for me, I don't know, it took me all of 2 minutes to do. So I thought I'd share that with you, try and help others. And this is how you do it. The box which is removed, there's the amp. For me, it's underneath the passenger, behind the passenger seat. And I've just got a torch shoved into the hole where the yellow airlines go and cables. So now, if you have a look through this little tunnel, you can see the light there, which is the torch. And all you want to do, get yourself a piece of plastic. This is just a bit of trim. When you push it in and slightly upwards, and if you wiggle it around, you fit, there you go, I'm through. So let's see now. And there she is. There it is there. Now you can just pull the cables through. I cannot understand why people have said this has taken them hours to do. It took me all of 2 minutes. So yeah, hope it helps people. And now I can power it. I can take the cables which are going into the amp. I'm going to pull the subwoofer through, put the amplifier, which is a lovely little JL 101. What I've done is I have taped my sub cable, which I'm actually going to connect straight into the loom. When I've looked at the wiring diagram, it is the mauve and brown, which makes things nice and easy. So this I can just pull through. There you go. And there's your sub cable. You can do that for the power cables if you want to mount the amplifier inside the car as well. Job done. So the reason I mounted the sub in the trunk was simply that's where it sounded the best for me. I tried it in the 3 different positions. First of all, tried it in the passenger footwell. I made a little box to the right size. It sounded okay, but compared to when I just basically put the stock speaker box in the trunk, boy, what a difference. It really resonated. And again, that box, you probably saw it in the earlier part of the video. I had it behind the seat, and it sounded good, but it looked a bit gangster. It was a bit in your face, like it really shouldn't have been there. And I thought, well, if it sounds better in the back, let's get it in the back. So I decided to make a dedicated box. One of the reasons why it sounds so good is that our trunks on the SLs, they're not actually sealed units, and these flaps either side are proof of that. It allows the air into the cabin, so therefore it's going to allow the sound in. And even when the roof is folded down, there's enough gaps in and around the edge that that sound is going to travel into the cabin no problem at all. I actually opened the trunk by pressing the button on the door if you really want the sound to travel, and you would never know the trunk's open. On my car, it doesn't pop up, it just stays in the down position. But you know, if you want to hear it outside as well as you do inside, there's a little tip for you. Just pop the trunk. It really resonates. So getting on to building the box, it has to be 0.8 cubic feet, or in new money, it's got to be 22 litres, and this is how I did it. Dimensions are 635mm wide and 365mm tall. Now they're the maximum that can be. It can't be any wider because it's got to fit in the recess in the trunk, and it can't be any taller because when the roof folds down, it's got to be able to clear it, and that's why there's a chamfer on the edges there. It's just to allow that additional clearance. I use 15mm MDF as well, and it's just glued and screwed together. So if you look at the side of the box there, you can see just that its maximum is 130mm. What is that? Just under 5 inch. Very slim, sits neatly on that shelf in your trunk, doesn't impede. You lose hardly any space at all. And the internal measurements is 101mm, because it depends on how you fabricate the box. But as I said, it's 15mm thick, and my thoughts were I'll come down a little bit in the wall thickness because normally it's 18mm, but I doubt it does anything to the sound. Looking down, you can see just how neat it is. It really is pretty slim. You can hardly notice it at all in the trunk. So once I've glued it, it's all dried, I chamfered the edges, I took the speaker off, took the wiring terminals off, and then I started to put the fabric on so that it matches the rest of the trunk lining. This is just held on with spray adhesive. Once that goes tacky, you then just bring it together and smooth out all the creases and just keep going. I joined it on the edges so that you don't see it. You can get a really neat job. Just use a sharp knife, a bit like if you've ever trimmed a pastry on a pie. Bring it down and you can trim it right onto the corner, and you would never know that it was actually a sheet. You would think that it was sprayed on. So overall, not too bad to do. And this is the finished result sitting inside the trunk. There's that little shelf at the back I was mentioning. You can still easily access the floor. Amplifier sits here just to the left. Had to leave it at a slight angle so that you can bring the trunk lining down, otherwise it pops up a little bit. But yeah, I'm really happy by the way that looks. There's some Velcro on the back and there's 2 ties either side just here. That then secures it all. It doesn't go anywhere, and as I said, it doesn't impede into the trunk at all. So the sound is incredible. I still have storage space. Overall, really pleased with the end result. Still got a nice bit of storage to the right there. Amplifier sits nicely to the left. It has to sit down at that angle because when you close the trunk boot separator, it has to go and sit lower. And you can see just underneath here where this is chamfered either side. I've had to do that to make sure that it doesn't protrude on that, so you can open the roof and have the roof down. So all in all, I'm pretty happy. You can see the width of it is about 112mm, or in old money it's not even as wide as the height of your iPhone, so it just sits on the shelf nicely. That's obviously the speaker cables. I also glued a couple of bits of Velcro to the back so it keeps it nice and rigid, and just on the side here there's a shackle 1 and 2, which that's it. just ties in. So I now still have a boot, or a trunk as they say in the States, keep it nice and roomy for everything else that I need. Hope you like it. Sounds awesome, by the way. Hey everyone, this is Groove On here, so I'm going to show you a couple of little tweeters that I've added in there. I've kept JL as the theme. They're wired into this one stock speaker in the front there, just wired in parallel, and obviously with my JL sub in the boot, in the trunk, it just lifts that front end and gives it a really nice crispness, especially with the extra bass that I've got. I was going to put a hole in the side pillar there, but what's the point? If I sell the car, I'm going to end up with an ugly hole in the moulding, so I just left it. You can't see the wires. I think they look really neat and professional. Very happy with it, and they're just surface mount on there. Importantly, I've still got the sub down the bottom. That's a stock sub, the Bose sub. I may end up changing that actually for another JL oval 8-inch, just to lift it a bit. So basically now I've got two subs in the car. I've got the stock and I've got the one in the trunk. These are the door speakers which have the mid sound, and I may change those for some JLs in the future as well, but it's whether I can be bothered or not. And importantly, down here I've got a little voltmeter. That's very important for the extra power that the amp is taking out the back. You want to make sure you've got a nice decent amount, 12 volts in there of course. And this, the most important thing, is your little bass knob. You know, this is it's so worthwhile getting. You end up, if you listen to different music, one day you could be listening to a bit of jungle, or what do you call it, drum and bass in the States, or you listen to a bit of Fleetwood Mac. You know, you don't want to have the bass as heavy, so you can adjust this up and down, and dependent on the station you're listening to, the CD, the MP3, the Bluetooth, which I've got all here, it all has different levels of clarity. So that bass knob, having it adjustable like this, it just really makes it so much more enjoyable, the music. So here I've got my radio, I've got Bluetooth, I press this little button here, and I've got audio, which is my DAB, which is here. Okay, that's all connected through, and here I have USB and audio as well. So I've got full compatibility, and of course in the top I've got my mobile phone, which comes stock as part of Merc. The brightness on this is excellent now. I've replaced this screen. I've done another video before. It's really crystal clear in terms of what the old one was. The other one was beaten up and pixelated. This cost me about £45. What is it, about £60 US? And you can see, looking at it, all the pixels are nice and sharp. There is no difference to the stock. It is really nice value for money. So yeah, thanks again. Subscribe and all that. I know we say it, and I'm boring everybody by saying put the comments down, but you know, it helps, because by doing that I can help you, and the whole point of these videos is I'm trying to give people a bit of confidence, save them time and money, so that you can tackle that job yourself and, you know, don't get too put off by it. So thanks very much, and appreciate all the thumbs up and your likes, by the way. Bye for now.
Let's move on, 'cause it's time to move on.